Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world of the International Fabtalks. Let's prioritize peace, let's prioritize joy and happiness, and let's prioritize justice and fairness across the world. No matter what department you belong to, no matter which country you belong to, no matter which professional zone you are into, we all should prioritize peace and justice. And of course, we should be focused on building our lives and the lives of others around us in the right way. Friends, today we are being lucky, we are being very put that right, because I'm like excited to meet somebody very special, someone who has been through a lot of experiences, who has had a long journey in the professional zone into very sensitive areas. So how he has been doing it, how did he enter into this field, what was his contribution to the society, how he's been able to do justice in a fair manner and tackle various situations during his professional journey. We'll get to know his personal journey as well, as to how resilient he is as a person, and much, much more. We are proud and happy to have the special presence of our celebrity and guest who's here with us. He's here on special request. He is Shri B.L.NARAYANA. He's joining us all the way from Bengaluru, Karnataka, India. We'd love people like these to share the space with us, to empower the youth, to empower the middle-aged, and as well as the senior citizens. Hello, sir, and welcome to the session. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Andrea. A very good afternoon to one and all. In fact, it's a pleasure to be on your show and being hosted by none other than the most enterprising person like you. Thanks once again to you for, giving me this opportunity and, to say a few words from my personal life and my departmental thing. I'll definitely love to share all my experiences with you. Please. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being so humble and kind and, gracing the platform. Thank you very much. I go ahead and share your profile and we begin the session, sir.
Thank you so much. Please do.
Thank you, sir. Friends, as you know, we share the profiles of our celebrities and guests. It's a responsibility, a honor, and a wonderful privilege to get to know about sir. I would like you also to be having that insight as to what sir does and what he did earlier before his retirement. Now, I'd like to take you further ahead into sir's profile, as we have with us Shri B.L.NARAYANA. He's the Superintendent of Central Tax and Customs, retired for the present, connected to Bengaluru, Karnataka. Apart from that, I'd like to add more to sir's profile, dear friends. He's been contributing more than 3 decades of service in the department. That's really wonderful, and has taken up voluntary retirement from the department. He has worked in almost all sections of the erstwhile Central Excise Commissionerate and GST and Customs formations. Like many of us, like you and me, maybe not aware of all these things. Maybe we know the term GST, we know the term like, customs, etc., but we don't know actually how it is and what is it. So today we may get an insight into it, maybe a brief introduction into what it is. Sir has had a long stint of 8 years in the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. If I could put that again, he has had a long stint of around about 8 years in the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, that is DRI, Bangalore Zonal Unit, if I could put that right, as an intelligence officer, during which period he was very instrumental in dissemination of intelligence. So, you have to really work very hard from here to get the things all right. That's really nice. And which led to a lot of detection and seizure of gold, narcotics, electronic goods, and FICN being smuggled into and out of India. That sounds interesting, and it gives us, a awakening call or an alert that what we need to take along with us when we travel, or what can be taken, from other countries into our country, what can be sent from our country to other countries. Maybe we get into an insight into that. And sir has also received several accolades and commendation certificates for the good work that he has done from the Director General, DRI, New Delhi, for his yeoman service rendered in DRI formation. That's wonderful. His stint as the Superintendent of Customs at Shed and Courier Cells of A Cargo Complex, Bengaluru, and Kempegowda International Airport, Bangalore, has been really very inspiring. He was very instrumental in detecting several cases of undervaluation. I repeat that, undervaluation. So those who are, a little bit on the wrong side, or maybe trying to cheat a bit, or maybe like that, you better be careful, because things have to go in the right way in order of, or maybe if you want your country to develop, or if you want to develop as a great human being. And various misdeclaration. This also happens quite often. The real scene will not be shown there, or the real things will not be depicted they'll try to misrepresent or misdeclare certain things. And sir has been into all of that, able to curb smuggling activities. That's really a wonderful thing. I get excited now because I'm somehow connected. Like I've seen it all in movies, but meeting somebody really here who's connected with all of these, it's really wonderful. And he's been bring perfect justice to his job by rendering the right kind of services in a very honest and just way. Presently, sir is employed with NACIN, that is NACIN, Bengaluru, as a consultant and training faculty. That's really nice. Let's get to know more about sir. Aren't you all interested, dear friends, to follow the right track, to be guided by the right kind of person with the life decisions that you take, or the type of traveling activities that you might be planning in future? Join us, friends, to have a wonderful time, and of course, a learning one at that. Sir, thank you so much for being here. It's a wonderful journey today to have you here with us. Thank you very much. So, several people across the world who may view this video one day or the other, session that we have together, and of course, your friends, your relatives, and the people in India would love to know, how would you describe yourself? Who is the real Shri B.L.NARAYANA?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot for that wonderful intro. Basically, I would like to first put my personal life introduction, because basically I hail from a family here in Bangalore. My dad, my father, he served in the AG's office here in Bangalore, Karnataka. So during that early 90s, you will imagine those parents of those 90s, they were always like their children should get into some central government job or state government job, which is more secure, for their prodigy and things like that. My sister, Revati BK, she also retired from the NIMHANS. I think you are aware of that particular organization, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. She retired as a chief accounts officer from Bengaluru. So it ran in our family that all of us need to be associated in one way or the other with the central government organization. So my father was very, very particular and very clear about where his children will be posted and where they'll be going into. My first posting, since I had done my stenography, I was basically very adept at taking notes and other things, and I had secured ranks for the state government Karnataka also in stenography. So my father wanted me to enter into the mainstream of any of the central government organizations, and the first thing that happened is I got a stenographer's job in our erstwhile Central Excise organization in Belgavi. I hope you have heard about the place Belgavi, which is in North Karnataka. So basically, I started as a stenographer at Belgavi at Central Excise. Now you are telling about Central Excise. Basically, people misspell it as Central Exercise. It's got nothing to do with any exercise or anything. Basically, Central Excise is a thing which depends on the manufacture of the goods that has been done. And to facilitate the manufacturer, it was posted to the point of sale, where at that point of sale, they'll be paying the central excise duties, the erstwhile central excise duties, before the central tax or the GST took over from the entire erstwhile taxations, whatever that were there. So earlier, I worked there as a stenographer. Subsequently, in the year 2000, I was promoted as the inspector of the organization. That is was still central excise and service tax only, which we all knew earlier. Central excise was basically for the goods that were being manufactured, and to the point of sale, the central excise duty had to be paid. And service tax, was, as you and we all know, was basically on the services being rendered. Now, what has happened is both have been amalgamated. Both central excise and service tax has been amalgamated, and it is now known as central GST, which you are all aware. If any of the bills that you see in today, any hotel, you just go dine there and see, it's a CGST and it's an SGST. CGST is basically into central tax. That is our organization, which looks into collection of central tax duties. State government, obviously, their VAT and octroi and other things came into one merger thing, and it was known as SGST. And this particular CGST is effective from 1st of July 2017. Now it is mandated, and there has been no confusion over this. Earlier, it was in a nascent stage. Now everything is a full-fledged law. Nobody can claim or whatever the things they were adopting, like you said, under-invoicing or over-invoicing or dual invoices were being raised. All these have been taken care of by the introduction of central tax and the state tax, now which we all universally know as GST taxation. This was already there in other countries like Malaysia, Singapore already had tried this, tested this, and it was very, 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 very successful there in those countries. So India also thought like, okay, if this comes as a mainstream taxation, it will automatically take away all those small taxes, which was very cumbersome for a small-time taxpayer. Now, this one single large GST will cover the whole taxation part, and the entire thing is taken care of. So this is as far as GST is concerned. Now, anything else? Any questions you have on this regard? I can wax eloquent on that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the customs part of it.
Yes,
So
sir. I mean, like,
subsequently,
I'm more interested like with the customs part, because
yes,
that I've seen in movies and all of that. Like I've seen all those officers, you know, some of the officers are involved in, the wrong part, and some are very honest and upright. So I found like to ask you this question, or maybe I think I should ask you this question.
yes.
Focus on this question to be very precise. You are very upright and, connected to your work in the right way. So how would you explain what is, first of all, what is customs and all of that? There are many people who are very innocent and naive. They don't know about it.
Customs, let me explain to you. Anything that is being brought on from international waters into India or going out of India, there is a certain duty on it. Anything which is being exported or imported into India needs to suffer customs duty. It depends on what you are exporting, what you are importing. For example, let's say you are bringing some gold jewelry from abroad. You can't just go abroad and bring jewelry ornaments to India. They'll definitely be charging you 38.5% of customs duty. Similarly, any goods that are imported into India, electronic goods, electric goods, whatever that comes into India, will have to suffer basic customs duty. And there is a customs tariff which will be useful. Basically, what happens is if you are importing something, let me take your example only. For example, Andrea wants to import some small items from US. So since it's a small item, you have various ports in air cargo Bengaluru. Small item is imported through courier cells. We have an international courier cell at Air Cargo Bangalore. We have a cargo shipment which has got a bigger shipments which to come. If you are a manufacturer, exporter, that is, and you want to import certain goods for this thing which are bigger in sizes, you import in the cargo. And if you are flying as a passenger, you will come in the international airport, the T2 terminal, which is a wonderful terminal here in Bangalore, it is incorporated newly in Bangalore, the T2 terminal, where all the international passengers do come in. They also have to undergo the customs checks. So similarly, in ICD, there is an inland container depot in Bengaluru, which caters to the container cargo, basically, which are being exported or imported. So your case, what I suggested, you will be getting something from US. One of your cousin is sending something to you. So that comes in a small shipment, lesser than 70 kgs of thing. That will come in international courier cell. It is cleared by the officers posted at customs air cargo cell, and accordingly you will get it. FedEx is a a person known to you. You will be importing it through FedEx. This FedEx, DHL, or all these are the authorized courier agents who will, act as a catalyst between the importer, that is you, and whosoever is the sender from US. They'll take all the details, get the customs, everything cleared at the customs port, and it will be delivered at your door. You won't even know what all that particular consignment underwent, and it will land at your doorstep. Clear on that part. Courier is, one-to-one kind of a shipment where Andrea has asked for something. This can be on official purposes, where they send prototypes and other things, some smaller consignments for courier cell. So basically, now if you come to cargo is a bigger shipment. Any, for example, BL or BHL, whosoever is operating, they'll want their goods to be, imported from abroad. Some parts or something of that which they want to import. So all these clearances will have to happen through the customs officers only, and there are authorized custom house agents, shortly known as CHAs, who will be operating in air cargo cell. They are the catalyst between the importer and the sender, whosoever has sent it from abroad. So CHAs will be there. You don't personally, as an importer, you don't need to personally go to airport. They will take care of the entire clearance of shipment on payment of appropriate customs duty. The whole thing is cleared, and that CHA will ensure that it is delivered to the consignee's place, wherever, like for example, Bell. Now coming to the most important part of people bringing goods at the airport. As per the Customs Baggage Rules 2016, you are allowed to bring personal effects only up to rupees 50,000. Any electronic goods or electric goods. If you buy some new goods there abroad, and if you are bringing it into India, you will have to declare it. And if it is less than 50,000, it is covered under the customs baggage rules and you are allowed to go scot-free. In airport, you have two channels. One is the international green channel. I hope you would have traveled abroad, Andrea. You would definitely know there is a green channel, there is a red channel. So the green channel is where you have got no goods to declare. You have nothing on yourself or your baggages, all are your personal effects. You went abroad, you just holidayed there and you just came back. So nothing to declare. You walk through the green channel without declaring anything to the customs officers posted there. If you go to the red channel, it implies that you have got something to declare. You would have brought some 2 Apple iPhones or any electronic goods in excess of the 50,000 baggage allowance that is given to you. Up to rupees 50,000 is free allowance to you. In anything in excess has to be declared in the red channel, specifically specified in the international customs arrival hall. You will have to go there, declare it, pay the relevant customs duty. The customs officers will raise a challan. The challan is handed over to you and you clear out of the airport. This is in a nutshell. I'm just telling, like, for general passengers, if they have anything to declare, they'll do that and they'll get cleared. So what happens in case of, now we are coming to the most important part of the smuggling activities that do take place. As you know, commercial misdeclaration or undervaluation is a commercial fraud. Okay, any company is involved in this. Intentionally, he is getting some Chinese products. He's got an invoice where it is undervalued. He's got a commercial invoice where it is overvalued, and actual value is not at all known to the customs officers. This is where the undervaluation happens. Cases are booked against them left, right, and center. Such undervaluation that happens. Now, if we come to outright smuggling. So when I worked in DRI, DRI is nothing but Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, which is a premier customs intelligence agency. So any customs frauds, including money laundering, anything that is happening across India is countered by the officers and personnel of DRI. The DRI has got its presence across India. So everywhere in major cities, we have a DRI office with a regional unit also. Now here in Bengaluru, if you take, in Bengaluru, we have it's headquartered in Bengaluru, and there is a regional office in Mangaluru also. So what does DRI do? Over and above what the customs officers are doing at airport, DRI or the, what you call the civilian clothed police officials working as customs officers with extra additional intelligence that is, like you already spoke about dissemination of intelligence. I'll get it in a very raw form. Okay, someone is coming in a particular flight on so-and-so date and he's, bringing gold. Now, what happens to this particular gold? How is it? What do you call, why is it called smuggling? If anything, the gold that is concealed amounts to being a contraband. What is a contraband is anything that is concealed to evade payment of relevant customs duty, and without informing the customs officers, the person wants to come out of the customs gate. So that fellow who is intentional of doing this will definitely conceal in various conceivable modes. And I'll tell you the modus operandi adopted by these people. They'll resort to all kinds of things to evade payment of appropriate customs duty. So DRI is one organization which intervenes, intercepts such passengers or the syndicate that is operating, involved in this kind of nefarious activities, which could be very, very detrimental to the economic fabric of Indian society as such. And it could also pose grave dangers like, it could be used for any terrorist organizations or anything, which is not at all desired. So basically, with the involvement of Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Finance, the DRI operates as typical, like you said, in a James Bond kind of a style. And a lot of interceptions happen in the wee hours of the morning when most of the international flights do come to Bengaluru. In Hyderabad also, it should be the same thing. Like, all your international flights, they all land post 11:15, 11:30, right up to 5:30, 7, up to 7 in the morning. Maximum flights do come at that time. So people, they tend to take undue advantage of that, particular flights. But we as DRI officers or customs officers posted at airport need to be very, very sensitive and active and conscious what is happening in the airport and keep an eye on all such nefarious activities, curb smuggling activities, which will be, it will be pilfering our natural resources by way of foreign exchange. So this is in a nutshell how DRI works. We have caught several people who are involved in rectum concealment. The gold is concealed in their rectum. Can you imagine this? People bringing it in the rectum, people bringing it in paste form. Gold is brought in paste form so that detection it's not so easy. Then you'll have to use your other operational tools to find out that this particular thing is happening, and the whole thing needs to be stopped. This fellow is brought to the office for further questioning, and after his recording his statement, there is a remand application type. There is an arrest memo that is issued to this particular person who is involved in such nefarious activities. Then thereafter, after the arrest memo is done, the superintendent of customs is empowered to arrest a person under the provisions of the Customs Act. So that fellow is one of his fellow residents have to be informed that this fellow is being arrested for his acts of omission and commission. Thereafter, he is deposited to the central jail. After going through the judicial process, the judicial magistrate is told about all his activities. It's all brought out in the remand application. Then he is put behind bars. This is how the DRI works basically. Customs intelligence is this. You need to time and again ensure that there is, apart from gold, there will be also other smugglings that will be happening. You must have seen the movie Pushpa. So that was very clear, like how the red sandals, which is grown exclusively in your Srikakulam forest, under the aegis of government of Andhra, that whole thing they were trying to smuggle out of India to various other China and other ports. That is basically one of the other things that DRI does, that particular export is stopped, because in these cases they don't have any clearances from any Directorate General of Foreign Trade or your government of Andhra Pradesh. Nothing is there. These fellows are just involved in smuggling it out of India. Red sandals is a very important species, flora species under CITES, which is under an international convention, and it cannot be exported out of India without a provincial DGFT license or state government of Andhra Pradesh license and other things. So that is one thing. The NDPS, the drugs that are being done, we all know they can be very dangerous to the society at large. The children, they'll see the movies, they'll be tempted to, it is a kind of, normally we see in most of the movies these days that violence is kind of blown out of proportions to show that he is a hero material or something. Honestly, in real life, it is something far-fetched. It doesn't happen that way. Anybody who is into any of these nefarious activities will be finished, both morally, financially, he'll be drained out. We have seen people who have become a total wreck after being involved in all such kinds of activities. So my message, if the younger generation is listening to this, will be that be a honest citizen, be a proper citizen, be a role model. They should also imbibe from their parents. Even the parents should encourage their children that you need to be, proactive, and like if I am what I am today, I'll definitely vouch for this, that this is all because of my father, who had a certain vision and a dream for all of us. And I'm really happy that I didn't bring any disrepute to any of my family members. And if I come out of the department with my head held high, it's thanks to all their, upbringing, and me also, being guarded against all kinds of enhancements that do happen during your course of discharge of official duties. Be guarded, be a very good citizen, and try to curb all these illegal activities which are happening day in and day out. Yes, Andrea, anything else?
Yes, sir. Very interesting. I was listening very patiently to you. Very interesting. And
Yeah.
it's really nice to know all of it, because now I understand the green side and the left side, the red one, when traveling in, I get to know all of that. And then it really gives me goosebumps. Like, even if you're, there are certain people who are very innocent, even if they have not done anything wrong, they have this fear within them. Maybe somebody will implicate them into some sort of, problem or something. It is so scary out there. You never know who will talk to you very nicely and suddenly they may put something in your bag, or I don't know what. It's all like that. So when we traveled across Indian borders, we have this fear. Like this, sir, there are several innocent people also who are trapped into the net of smuggling with regard to gold, narcotics. Unknowingly, they have been pushed into it. The main kingsman will be somebody else. So have you come across anybody who's really very innocent and trapped into this session? I mean, like into this.
Fortunately or unfortunately, we haven't found any such cases, and whomsoever we have trapped from our DRA organization are all hardcore criminals only, Andrea. We have got such kind of cases. To put everything under proper perspective, what I suggest is, if you are going out of India and you have any jewelry on you, it's better that you declare to the customs authorities posted there at the departure port. They'll be posted there. Our officers are there. You just say that you're carrying any costly electronic items that you're carrying, your iPhone, your laptop, or your gold jewelry. Declare all of them. And when you come back, and if you're not carrying any extra baggage with you, any of these additional purchases there, and if you're just coming with your same old item, whatever you carried from here, which has already been declared, you have the declaration form with you. Just show it to the customs authorities after you arrive into India. After clearing your immigration is when the customs people intercept you. If you show this particular declaration form, which you have done at the time of export from India, going out of India, you will have a scot-free and all hassle-free clearance at airport. You will not be questioned by customs authorities. This is one thing which I want to make very crystal clear, because most of the time I have seen passengers, with genuine passengers, who don't declare anything, even though if they're carrying, high valued items on their body, or, wearing watches, which are all high valued. And it's the onus is on the passenger when they come back to prove that this particular thing was not purchased abroad, because any watch he's bought here in any of the showrooms here, he would have paid all the duties, including the import duty. Everything is priced there, and he would have paid on that. Now he is wearing it, he is gone abroad, he is now bringing it back, but the onus is on the passenger to prove this watch was not purchased abroad and it was brought in India only. For that, he'll have to have, that bill purchased locally. And in case if he doesn't have a bill, then he has a lot of explaining to do to the customs officers to prove that it was brought in India only originally. So to avoid all these problems, generally we have seen with passengers who don't declare goods while going out of India to, take time out, arrive even earlier at the airport. If they asked you to come 3 hours prior, come 4 hours prior to that, get all these formalities, procedures executed, so that you will have a hassle-free time when you come back into India. This is one of the major things that we have noticed. Now comes the major question of some smuggler putting into this thing. That will not happen, because that smuggler knows that in case if he is not bringing the goods, or if it is not cleared, then he is in real soup. He is in real soup. Putting it to some other passenger's bag, and that thing going out will not serve his purpose. Basically, he will not be doing it. But yes, there are cases where the smuggler, when he's, he knows that there is an intelligence agency waiting for him outside the airport, and the moment he goes out, he is caught. He'll try tricks of, retaining those particular contraband. I'll say for the time being, gold, drugs, whatever the case may be. He'll try to retain that in the flight itself, on the flight itself. He'll not retrieve it. He'll just leave it there itself and run for dear life. This is one of the instances we have noticed where we have to again go for the rummaging of the aircraft, provided we get to know that this fellow has left the goods contrabands there and he's walked away. And with nothing on his body, even the customs officers cannot do anything, and he walks away scot-free. But the goods, the contraband is there on the flight, or he would have put it in one of the lavatories that are available. Even before coming into immigration, he's got a loo over there where he just goes there just to conceal this contraband there, maybe with the thought that whenever he comes next, he can retrieve it or something like that. So that has to be taken care of. This is what the nefarious activities the smugglers is involved in. The innocence, my only suggestion to any of the innocent passenger or the gullible passenger that you are quoting, is not to accept any baggage on any person's part, that he'll say, my baggage is in excess of 32 kgs. I have one more baggage. Can you please carry it on my behalf? Because you have only one small bag. So put this on, this thing. Please, never ever accept such things, and never ever do. You just don't know what is in his bag. Now, once you put it on this thing, there is a baggage tag that is generated by the airlines authorities carrying your name, flying from, say, I'll just take an example, Bangkok to Bengaluru. So your name, Bangkok to Bengaluru, and whatever the weight of that particular baggage. Now you are the owner of that baggage, which you unknowingly received from some smuggler. This is one thing. This is my suggestion to all such innocent victims or who might be victimized. I'm not telling, since I didn't see it in Bengaluru, it has not happened. It can happen. In some other place, it can happen. And people will do it out of goodwill. He'll see that fellow has got 3, 4 baggages. Why unnecessarily, let me help him out. Anyway, I'm traveling alone. Let me carry his bag. Please don't do that. Let him face the music. Yeah, for additional baggage, let him pay the airlines whatever the hefty sum they charge. It's his lookout. But you don't do as a good man's or a, what do you call a Samaritan's job for things you don't know, because you have gone abroad to enjoy your stay there. Come back and be hassle free. Is my suggestion, Andrea. Over to you.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, this should be very useful for all those people to be alert, not to accept anybody's baggage, not to be a good Samaritan, like just like that. Because again, you may fall in trouble and the other person could be scot-free. Like, you never know what's the situation, because we've been seeing and reading a lot of information with regard to this. So stay safe, dear friends. That's really nice, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Now, sir, we come down to underestimation or misappropriation of the goods, or, not declaring the right amount or quantity, like misrepresentation of goods, etc., and all of that. Like, how, if you could explain this to us? With regard to the weightage, is it?
Andrea, this will be more technical in nature, because in case of undervaluation or something, we are talking about the units, the firms that resort to such things. Let me tell you one thing: all the major firms with no interest in what you call interested individuals or individual persons who will benefit out of this, they will not resort to this, because all major companies, they want to declare whatever the price that is, and they'll want to pay whatever the relevant customs duty on it. Who will resort to undervaluation and under invoicing and things like that will be a small time operator, a small time proprietorship firms or somebody. I'm not even ruling out that others will not do, but undervaluation cases, basically what happens is the importer here will have a tie-up with his exporter abroad. He'll say, for customs purpose, you gave me one pro forma invoice. The cases what we have noticed, I'm just telling you in a nutshell. He'll say, you give me one pro forma invoice. That pro forma invoice will have an under invoiced price. So for customs purposes, the under invoiced invoice is presented. On that, the customs duty is discharged. Whereas actually the price for that will be something much more, or almost 10 times of this particular invoice. That is exchanged between the importer and the exporter abroad. They'll do it like, there are a lot of scams here involved, like money laundering happens, hawala scams happen, all these behind the doors, which will not even come to the notice of the customs officers, because we are going by the documentation part of it. You have given me an invoice, based on that, we are trying to do this. Now, how do we do such, how do we intervene into such things is, we'll have to cross-check with a particular importer, what are all the invoices, commercial invoices. Basically, we'll ask for a customs documentation, it's a commercial invoice. This particular commercial invoice will have all Incoterms. Basically, that's the terminology that we use. What is this Incoterms? Is international commercial terms entered into between the importer and the exporter who from abroad, whosoever is sending the goods. So based on that only will he be sending, and here they'll have no reason to undervalue it, because all terms and conditions have been explained in that particular invoice. You will have to look into a commercial invoice basically. But predominantly what we see is they'll do some faltu pro forma invoice and try to undervalue and do that. But DRI, being the organization that it is, will have certain privy information also about a particular importer. Basically what happens is, some disgruntled manager of a particular firm could be your informant. He'll be thrown out of that particular company for whatever acts of his omission or commission. He comes out, then he'll become your informant. He'll walk into your office and say, sir, that fellow is doing this kind of an undervaluation. That will be part of your intelligence also. You develop on that and see to all his previous imports, book that fellow under the various provisions of the Customs Act. So undervaluation does happen in import of goods, and in export also. They'll be using fraudulent export schemes which are not available to them, or they are not entitled to use those particular export schemes. So such frauds are noticed. But if you want the slam bang James Bond kind of a type, is basically involving this smuggling activities only. And these are all most seen in customs formations. So our basic lookout should be to curb such activities, not to happen anywhere across India. If the Bangalore airport is tightened, this fellow will go to Hyderabad airport. If Hyderabad's airport is tightened, he'll go to Chennai airport. So he's become kind of a habitual offender. And this particular guy and his syndicate, whomsoever is financing all his, basically these smugglers, they'll be living in penury. Basically, ideally looking at it, he'll have nothing else to look into but for whatever amount he gets out of doing this particular smuggling activity. So he is promised a certain thing, and he is paid all expenses paid trip to go abroad, stay there for a particular period. He is the person who is given that bag which has the gold or NDPS or whatever that is concealed in it. His job is to just bring it into India and to give it to some XYZ whose name is not known, nothing is known to him as per his own volition and his own statement that we have recorded subsequently. He will say, I don't know who gave it to me. Some unknown person gave it to me in a hotel abroad. I brought it to India and it was supposed to be delivered to some unknown person. If I do this, they'll give me some amount as consideration for having done this. So that lure of money, puts him into this. He has got a family to take care of. But unfortunately, by this particular nefarious act of his, he is put into all kinds of trouble, and his very purpose of taking care of his family is not served. The family goes for a toss. So this is one of the major things we'll have to say. We don't resort to such things. Be a proper citizen of India and do something good. God has given ample things to all of us. Let's be involved in some good things. Even when I'm taking classes for all my students in this organization of mine, the NASIN, which is an acronym for National Academy for Customs, Indirect Taxes, and Narcotics. So yeah, all these cases I'll be explaining my students also. You'll be wherever you come from. Officers come from Bihar, Jharkhand, UP, and places, Hyderabad. Everybody is here. They are posted here in Bangalore zone. So they'll be serving in Karnataka for the next 40 years. My piece of advice to them is be honest citizens. There'll be a lot of enticements to you at the time of discharging your official duties. Don't get entangled in any of them. Try to curb any of this prevention of money laundering or the smuggling and any GST like we spoke about, under invaluation. You look into that and try to curb these activities. And you also have rewards, Andrea. I didn't tell you about that. Any officer in our organization is entitled for a 20 lakhs reward through his entire career. 20 lakhs reward, which doesn't have an IT, he doesn't need to pay income tax on that. He gets an entire 20 lakhs reward in his entire career. This can be very encouraging to youngsters who want to join our department. There are two kinds of things which you can join into our department. One is CGLE. I think it's a common graduate level examination that happens annually. Then you have the Staff Selection Commission, which recruits new inspectors to our department. So this is my piece of advice to them, whosoever is coming into our department. We want more manpower, do a wonderful job, take your rewards, and be retired like me and lead a happy, peaceful life.
Wow,
Over to you, Andrea.
really, really interesting. And thank you for enlightening the youth and encouraging them to come forward and take up this wonderful profession, to write the various tests to qualify for them and to join the services. That's really wonderful. And thank you for sharing all of those beautiful experiences that you've had and how you enlightened the public to stay safe, not to fall a trap, not to be lured by money or anything such that you may face a lot of deadly consequences later on. Now, sir, while you were in service, you might have observed that there were more like men or women into it, or both. Now, when we talk about gender, nowadays, even the women also are into it, and they are also like, wanting to earn more money or a quick buck maybe, or maybe like that. So what is your experience with regard to gender? Like, most of them were men, women, the third gender, you never know who.
The third gender, we didn't come across any such cases. But yes, it's like if you say the gender part of it, 50% of each. Ladies, especially from the African background, like we have a flight from Africa also, which comes here early morning. So they were involved into, smuggling of drugs, basically, either through ingestion, they'll have consumed it, or, rectum concealment and things like that. So yes, you cannot say only the guys do it or nothing like that. Everybody is, if they are into that mold, they will do it, irrespective of whatever the gender. They are basically like, the rectum concealment fellow is trained for that, basically. So if he can't land in Bengaluru for whatever, the airport has suddenly become tight, like I told you, he'll go to some other airport, but he does only this and he doesn't know anything else but this. So he'll be only doing these kind of things. Even the ladies are also. We have seen very, very aggressive ladies, while recording statements, they'll do all kinds of hangama. Like, first and foremost, they'll say is, yeah, penury. And I was into, hand to mouth feeding and all that stuff. Back home, we are going through a but nothing, I'll once again quote unquote, nothing absolves you of your acts of omission and commission and having involved in smuggling is definitely not going to help you out. Given whatever your financial circumstances back home, you cannot involve in any such nefarious activities, which is going to be detrimental to the economic fabric of Indian economy. We'll never ever allow that as far as the organization is there. In fact, DRI has come into limelight from 4th of December 1957 onwards is when the DRI offices have been functional, and every 4th of December is celebrated as a DRI day. So it's all a matter of pride for us because we work on par with CBI officials who are basically into other human allegations. Here, basically, we look into customs smuggling and other things. So it's generally a matter of pride to us. Let's not prioritize or gender sensitize or something. Everybody is involved and they have their own valid reasons as to why they're involved in such kind of activities. But definitely, for sure, even I tell my boys also, this is not going to absolve them. They're not supposed to do this and they shouldn't do this. Yeah, Andrea, that's how it is.
That's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, sir. Now, sir, the major question that arises now with regard to the customs and all of that, political pressure. Irrespective of mentioning any political party's name, I just mentioned in general in the world, when there is political pressure, how do you all deal with that? If you have ever been in that, or how should officials behave or conduct themselves when there is political pressure? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, sir, we go on to the next question. The next question is, we'd like to know about, apart from your professional stint, we'd like to know about your early childhood. How was your early childhood? What kind of a child were you? And if you could share any beautiful memory with regard to your childhood, please do share that.
Basically, as a child, I was notorious. I was a brat, so to say. And my sister, Revati, we have a lot of memories to share. It was a wonderful, we are the typical middle class family here in Bengaluru, and a lot of sweet memories, Andrea. I think many of them.
Any incident,
Yeah,
anecdote?
one particular incident where, it goes to prove that I was very, very notorious. My mom had cooked some dishes for one of our uncles who had come home, and the last two dishes were served on his plate. I don't know what came over me. I suddenly knocked off those two dishes. Maybe I think it's idlis or something. She had prepared, and those were the last two idlis that was served to one of our uncles. I knocked off those two idlis and ran away. The look on the uncle's face, and my sister also laughing her hearts out. My mother, inexplicable, she was very angry why this boy has done like this. We have so many memories, ma'am. It's really nice, like when you go back to your nostalgic childhood days, they were always good. And I studied in National College, Jainagar, and did my schooling in Vijay High School, everything in Bengaluru only. I had some wonderful friends during my school and college tenure. And I'm really happy to say that I have some of my college mates also in the department, and some are still serving. Though I took VR and I have come out of the department, I have my college friends, some 4 or 5 of them, thickest friends, they are still serving in the department. And one of them is an assistant commissioner in our own department in Central Tax Office also. So there have been certain, ups and downs obviously will be there in anybody's life. But I have only sweet memories to, always look back to. And it's always been good, all thanks to my parents. My dad is no more. My mother is the source of inspiration for both me and my sister. So life is wonderful, ma'am. And one thing I really want to explain here is during my DRI days, I need to spend several sleepless nights in the airport. Obviously, you will understand, when you go today, you spend 2 days there in the airport and the entire thing has to be done. All the procedures, formalities have to be done. The fellow is put behind bars, and that is when you come back home, like after 2 days. I should also quote my wife, Shri B.L.NARAYANA, who has been the reckoning force behind all my this thing. And if I have achieved anything, thanks to her, who took care of my two boys back home. She was also a teacher. She is still. She continues to be a teacher in one of the leading schools here in Bengaluru. And the boys today, they have grown up to be, the gentlemen that they are. But at that point of time, when I was serving in DRI, they were very, very young, and they needed to be attended to time and again. And thanks to my wife, she is really like the rock of Gibraltar. She stood behind me, and she is what I am today is all thanks to her and my parents as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That's really nice to give credit to your parents and to your spouse as well and your children as well. Like, you have a wonderful family, then you can do just wonders in the world. And you still have a very, a supportive spouse. Like, she's also working and took care of the children very well. That's really nice. It's a good message for all the young couples out there, how to be, more adjustable and flexible to understand the demands of the job of one of their spouse and take care of the family in the right way. So that's your wonderful example. And ma'am too, that's really nice. Now, sir, your association with your school teacher or a college professor, like if you could share any incident that any of the teachers or professors had a wonderful impact on you. And is there anything that you could share with us, any incident that has transpired between both of you that you felt that this is the person who I could trust, I could open up and share? Or maybe it could be a negative experience or a positive experience too.
There was one particular English teacher, ma'am, in my during my primary days, primary school days. She always used to say, "You are very weak in English. You need to improve your English." And her name is Geeta ma'am, I think. Geeta ma'am, yeah. She was telling that you're not up to the mark and your English needs a lot of improvisation. And if today I can wax eloquent in the language, or if I can write some articles about my department, it is all thanks to her. And the gift of the gap is that when you can present yourself without even readying any script or anything, and you can just off the record, you can just quote and do things. And if I can take classes, it's all thanks to her. English actually is a very primary thing. When you are able to communicate properly with anyone is when you are understood. Otherwise, I have all the immense knowledge within me, and if I am not able to impart it properly, then my whole this thing experience is wasted. That's how I think. If you can do good justice to both your language and your knowledge as well, that will be a very potent weapon. You can put across your viewpoints very clearly, and even whosoever is the listener, or even in my class also, they have been very, very appreciative of when I'm communicating my things. So I would definitely like to thank my primary school teacher, who is instrumental in me enhancing my language of English, and trying to be more interactive with people across the globe. So that's how it is.
Excellent. So that's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much. Now, you also write articles with regard to the work that you do and publish them and send them for the various magazines or newspapers and maybe journals. Is that so, sir?
As on date, I have not published anything in the regular publications as such, but departmental articles, yes, I have been sharing it with my department, which are all not public still, but they are privy to the department officers, like the souvenir that comes out of our department every year. Now, the new inspectors, there is a batch of inspectors. They'll be finishing their 3 months induction course training, and they'll be having a souvenir that comes out. We'll have certain articles to share, and even the boys and girls there will also be sharing about their experiences for the last 3 months with a particular faculty or something. So it's all in the department. I haven't published anything in the regular newspapers as such, Andrea.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You come across very, a very honest person and a very transparent person when you share things. That's really nice. Now, sir, when you were into this professional zone of being into the customs and tax department, etc., and now to your, busy with some work that you are connected with teaching the students and empowering them in the right way, you might face, or you might have faced, or you will be facing in future different kinds of stress levels or challenges. We'll put them as challenges. Now, in case if you've been facing a lot of challenges earlier, now, and as well as in future, what is the easiest technique to de-stress or come out of the challenging situation? How do you manage your challenging?
Andrea, my foremost concern will be home is where the heart is. I think you will agree with this. After all the stressful things that we have outside, whatever during my course of discharge of my official duties when I was in service or out of it, I come back to home as a solace. So my piece of advice to anyone listening to this is you should be as subtle and as good at home, so that there are no basically everybody is, they would have worked and they would have stressed and come into home. So let's make the home the place where we want to be. And if you have a solid encouragement and support to back home, I think that's what makes most of our lives comfortable. If we are very, very comfy at our home, I shouldn't be the first person to be running away from my house for whatever happens there. Then I can never be a peaceful person. So my fund of de-stressing myself is coming back home, chilling with my wife and boys. That kind of de-stresses me. And I'm also into singing off late. I do keep singing regularly for some, any of the functions or some this thing. They call me over there. I do a couple of singing also to de-stress myself. That is one of the other habits that I have kind of developed over a period of time. So that is one thing that keeps me abreast. Yeah.
That's really nice to know. It's very surprising. That's really nice. That's great. Now, what kind of music or what kind of songs, like, is it like traditional ones or the latest, film songs? What kind of songs you're interested in? Like?
Basically, I keep singing all kinds of songs. Film songs, which are the most which interest me. The local Kannada songs are a hit here, most of the songs. Hindi songs as well. I do keep my friends or colleagues, whosoever, whenever we have a party time together, uh, there'll be a one or two songs that do happen there. And that's what keeps us all regaled. Like, even at home also, sometimes when we are bored. So the boys just say, Papa, why don't you sing a song or two? So we all kind of de-stress, have a good laugh, have a good dinner, and go to sleep peacefully at the end of the day.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
really
how it
very interesting. Very, very interesting. So if I could put in a request, if you could sing your favorite song for us today, or you dedicate a song to somebody who's very close to you, would you oblige to do that for us?
is. Definitely, why not?
Yes, please.
I'll just sing one line, Andrea.
Yes.
कुछ ना कहो कुछ भी ना कहो कुछ ना कहो कुछ भी ना कहो क्या कहना है क्या सुनना है मुझको पता है तुमको पता है समय का ये पल थम सा गया है और इस पल में कोई नहीं है बस एक मैं हूँ बस एक तुम हो थैंक यू
Brilliant, brilliant. Hats off to you and thank you so much. Like, I was hesitating to ask you, like, if you could oblige to sing. That's really wonderful. You have an awesome voice. That's really very nice.
थैंक यू
An awesome
थैंक्स अ लॉट
voice. Excellent, excellent. That's wonderful. And
थैंक
so,
यू
when did you develop this interest in singing, right from childhood or at a later part?
definitely at a later part, but it was always subdued because of my other official capacities and traveling around and things like that. I couldn't keep it so proactive. But post my retirement or VR from the department, I've been able to concentrate on singing as well and trying to imbibe additional features into it, trying to improvise on it because every day, be it the department or singing or any other practice that you do, you need to keep on learning. Learning is a continuous process. I would vouch for that. Anything, even the department also, I can't say I've done 32 years of service in the department, I know everything. No, no, not at all. Every day is a learning process. So I keep myself abreast with most of the circulars notifications that are being issued time and again. So keep yourself active, pray to God, be as active as possible. So life goes on, as they say. That's how it is, Andrea.
Yes, that's wonderful. You have a gifted voice also. I should say that that's really nice and very pleasant to hear and very soothing. It makes you really feel good when somebody sings the right kind of song for you, especially if it's a family gathering or a friendly gathering. That's really nice. Thank you for obliging. That's really wonderful. It's,
Pleasure's mine.
wonderful. Yes, so that's really nice. When you meet people who are very kind, humble, polite, and of course they know to gel with the right kind of people in the right way. That makes the world more beautiful. Now, sir, from all the experiences you had right from the time you were born till date, you might have seen a lot of changes happening in and around you. Now, what changes do you wish to have in future, or which area needs a change, if I could put it in a very simple way?
Basically, what I have seen is like you put across that particular question. Since you asked for it, I'm telling politically, we should be kind of disconnected at times because the Department of Friendship makes friends and the politics breaks them. So, whatever our ideas or whatever our this thing of politicization or anything that is happening in and around the country, we should keep our views to ourselves. We shouldn't be expressing it in a group and thereby dividing the group according to based on their caste, creed, religion, and other things. So, what I personally feel is let's be humble, let's be modest. We have all come here with a purpose. For whatever purposes we have come here, let's deliver it. And I think that's how we need to be, with peace with each other. I still see a lot of radicalization happening in and around. Maybe that is beyond my subject also, not that's not my subject today, but I think a lot of changes are happening. Basically, like I started when I initially started, we need to know who our neighbor is, we need to know who our friends are, keep them, they are the best gift that God has given to you, keep them for the rest of your lives, and never ever, even now Fabtalks Andrea is my best friend, so I'll never let her go from my best friends list forever till I'm there. So this is how the whole thing, whole funda works. Let's be as modest and as humble as possible because God has sent you here with a specific purpose to deliver it and be as friendly as possible with one and all is my message to everybody.
Wow, that's really nice. Thank you for that beautiful message, sir. That's really very nice. Thank you so much. Very kind of you to share that wonderful message. Like to retain good friends and, till our last breath, let us have good friends around us and let us help them during their times of difficulties and vice versa, that is. Now, sir, have you ever found yourself getting angry or, or with regard to anything that you've seen around you, or what angers?
That's what, like I told you, Andrea, if something angers me, it could be anything. There is a trigger always. So it's not that I get angered at the first instance or at the just fall of a hat. It just triggers. There is a trigger always. So the best thing is at that point of time, you shouldn't be, venting your anger because by venting your anger, you're causing yourself more harm than good. I think I'm very clear on this aspect. I'm not hurting somebody by, giving or venting my anger against a particular individual, but I'm harming myself. All my internals are going for a toss. So let me do one thing, what I can do best. Come back, hold a mic, start singing a song or two, de-stress yourself, have, like you told, have good cupfuls of water. Definitely it brings you back to normalcy. Count up to 150. I would say whatever that kind of can de-stress you. Don't ever went back because basically what happens is mudslinging doesn't end there. It only aggravates the situation. If I do 10, they'll come back to me with 20. So it keeps on happening. And there is a lot of bad air between the two of us. Why, we'll just ensure that nothing of that sort happens. Even if I am wrong, also, sometimes others have realized and come back to me and said, I'm sorry. It's happened in my life also. Even if I'm correct, the others are wrong and they would have fought with me. They come back to me and say, I'm sorry, or vice versa. So just keep your cool. Don't get angered with anything that happens because the happenings around you can't be stopped other than your personal life, wherein you can tell your wife or your children or your mother, okay, don't do this, don't do that. But the other people hardly matters because you can't change what is happening there. Let's keep our modesty with ourselves. Let's be as subtle as possible and try to, be a better citizen, set a role model for our children also so that they'll be good citizens in future. This is my message, Andrea.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. It's really very nice. Thank you so much. And now, so just I have two more questions. I'll not take much of your time, if you could oblige. How would you want people to remember you? In what way should they remember you? Because one fine day we all leave this world, every one of us. So when we are no more on this planet, how do people remember you?
If you are talking from the personal life perspective, I would like to say a good human being, a subtle human being, a good singer, whatever they can think of. My boys should always think that if dad was there, he wouldn't have permitted this. So if you are doing wrong, let's correct it right away. So in personal thing, I don't want my boys to go astray or do something silly, which I have always been discussing. So I should set an example. First thing is preaching is easy, but practicing is what is difficult. So if my house is in order, I can reckon that others also keep their houses in order. So I'll ensure that personally I'll have to be, if they want to remember me as a humble, good person, and if there are some ideologies that if I passed on to them and if they're okay with it, because in the changing present and scenario, you might be old school of thought or things like that. But we'll also have to, cope up with the new changes, the technologies that are happening, the technicalities that are happening. We'll also have to adapt ourselves. I can't be like I was from some 90s, so I'll be like that only. No. Now there are a lot of technological tools at your disposal. Make use, immense use of them. Go with the tide is my suggestion to the younger generation. And as for the outsiders are concerned, they should always remember me as a good, decent officer who was always, at times, they'll have their own doubts and things like that. I was always trying to explain things to them if I knew it, or else I would have to go and do my homework and come back to them and give them suggestions about it, or ask my learned higher ups who could always help me out in matters like that. So the others, outsiders also, even the department also, they always remember me. And till date, we have been very good friends. Though I'm not in the department, I'm well connected with all my departmental colleagues. They have always been liking me, and I hope so that I'll remain this way only forever. Over to
That's
you, Andrea.
that's really nice. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Now, sir, if you were given an opportunity to relive somebody's life, imagine we give you a time machine to go back in time. Just it's a task and an imaginary question related to that task. Like you have a time machine, click the button that takes you into the past era where you relive somebody's life and return back. Just for a few days, you could live somebody's life and return back. Whose life will you select?
This question is very hypothetical because you're asking me to return back, Andrea.
Yes.
If there is no return back, I would have said Ambani or Adani. But since you're asking me to return back, I'll come back as Narayan only. So
Oh,
I would want to be myself. I will always be myself. I don't want to be in anybody else's lives. I'm happy and contented with my life. Is my what you call USP, so to say.
wonderful. Lovely
So
answer.
that's it.
Yes. That's great. What is that one thing you love about B.L. Narayana? What do you
My name,
admire in you?
because basically what happened is during my school days, I always used to crib with my dad. He, why you have kept me this name? He gave me one beautiful answer. See your name. Whenever I call your name, I'm getting closer to God. So I'm just quoting the Lord Vishnu himself by calling you time and again. In a day, he used to call me 15 times, 20 times. So he used to give that answer. Okay, if my name is giving some good things to my dad and others by calling me, so be it. So I think my name has got that special features in it. People are happy to call me by my name particularly. And if it's giving them some solace, so be it. I'm so happy with my name. So
That's really nice. A beautiful way to share that. That's wonderful, sir. One last question, sir, and then we are done. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. The best gift that you've received till date, either it could be on the professional side or the personal side, the most precious gift that you've ever received till date.
I can vouch for it. It's my wife, Shri Narayan. She is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And if till now, if we have pulled on our personal lives, it's thanks to her. She has been very supportive in all my official endeavors. uh, like I told you, DRI asks for a lot of time. I can't spare any time for the personal lives as such. She has been immensely this thing. And obviously my parents, my sister, they've all been supportive of my entire career. So I think that one particular gift, if you are very specific, I would definitely say post marriage, it's my wife, and she's a God given gift. That's all I can say.
Thank you, sir. That's really wonderful. I really appreciate people who respect their spouse in the right way. and acknowledge their presence in their lives. Because we have seen in today's world, irrespective of gender, there are several people, demeaning and putting down their spouses. And you giving that much of love and respect to her, and, the right kind of, it makes me also emotional. Like, you feel really good when you hear this, like, giving her the due respect and the required respect. And I don't know, you're a dedicated person to
No,
your family. Say,
I can understand.
yes,
Sorry, Andrea, for intercepting and intervening. Basically, what happens is the emotions apart. I can't be working in the airport or some overnight without my wife back home taking care of the whole thing.
very
She
true.
would also have to take care of the home. She has to take care of the boys, kids then, and then her working career also. Everything is important. And I am not there. Physically, I am not there. I might be there mentally. I'll say tomorrow morning I'll be coming, but whole night I'm not there, or two successive nights I'm not there. Such are all things which suddenly, come like a flash through my mind. So many things. We have so many things to share. She has been there through thick and thin. My life has seen so many ups and downs. Every time when you look up to her, she says, "Okay, don't worry. This happens. It's common. Boys, don't worry about them. I'll take care of them." If today both of them are working individuals in their own field of wherever they have their expertise and they're all on their own, thanks to her. Basically, I'll say it was 90% of her contribution and 10% of my contribution. Like financially, I'm there, morally, I'm there, but otherwise, I'm a weekend papas. Like normally, the joke goes on. I would not be there for several days, going on official duties. And today we boast about I did this in DRI, I did that in my custom department or central tax or whatever. Would it be humanly possible if there was no support back home? So this is all thanks to her. If I've achieved something, there has been somebody who stood like a rock behind me, and she's taken care of the whole personal things about the home front of it, wherein I could pursue my dreams and careers in the department. If today I'm successful, it's all thanks to her. So that's how it is. Yes, Andrea.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. That's really very nice. Thank you so much for taking out the time to share all of that towards the end as well. Respecting your spouse and giving her all the due respect that she really deserves, acknowledging her presence, giving her the value in your life. I mean, there are several people who do work for us or, who share life with us, but we don't value them. But you're giving her good value in your life and you really acknowledge her presence in the right way. Hats off to you for being one of the best couples. That's really very nice. That's wonderful.
My pleasure. I just wouldn't know how this an hour and a half just went by. It was a pleasure talking to you. You have been such an ideal host, and thanks for giving me this platform to express my personal things about my department and family as well. It all thanks to you, Andrea, and Rohini. Actually, she referred me to this thing, and I'm thankful to one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Before we end, I'd like you to give us 3 gifts in the form of 3 words. You've already empowered us a lot right from the start till now. Any 3 words that come quickly to your mind, apart from please, sorry, and thank you, you could share that with us as a gift.
These 3 are the only words that will come to my mind because you have given me this platform to share my thoughts. What else can I say, Andrea? You have said it all. You have been such a pleasing host. I'm just short of words, like you have been so, taking information out of somebody is not an easy task, but you have done that so professionally, and I really appreciate this particular show. What else can I say? 3 words is very difficult, but still, it's good. It's good. I really like this show, and thanks for everything. Is all I can say. That can be taken as my 3 words to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being humble and kind. Thank you for your time. Stay blessed and
Yes,
stay connected. Thank you, sir.
thank you so much. Bye. See you.
My dear friends, with this, we come to an end to the International Fab Talks for today. We have a lot of information with this session with regard to your traveling out of the country or coming from another country into our country. Lots of important things, how to stay safe, how to be alert. And the younger generation who would like to join into this field of, connecting with tax and customs, joining the central government department with regard to all of what Sir shared. There are different kinds of exams or tests that you have to really qualify for. Sir shared all of that. Sir is also connected with, this important group where he trains students, to have a brighter future. I would really love if you connect with Sir for the right kind of reasons and, get the right kind of education or the training. That would really be nice. Yes, friends. And if you like what the International Fab Talk team is doing, stay connected with us. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Of course, don't forget to love your family. That's the most important priority in one's life. Love your family, love yourself as well. And at the same time, be a global citizen. And above all, keep smiling, stay safe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.